All right, so we're diving into The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. Really fascinating how a book from 1926 about ancient Babylon still has so much to say today.
It's incredible. I think it's how Klassen makes these financial tips into stories. Feels like you're talking to a friend, a really wise friend from the past.
Yeah, and the main character, Arcad, he's not some rich king, right? He's just a regular guy who made smart choices and ended up the richest man in Babylon.
Exactly. And that's so important for us to remember today. It doesn't matter where you start. It's about understanding those financial rules, the ones Klassen calls the 7 cures for a lean purse.
7 cures. Okay, that sounds promising. So what are they?
Well, the first is start thy purse to fattening. Basically means saving, which, let's be honest, is tough these days. Ads everywhere tempting us to spend all the time.
No kidding. Though I'm not sure Arcad had to deal with targeted ads on his clay tablet.
Maybe not, but the idea is the same. Pay yourself first. Like Klassen says, put aside 10% of your earnings before you spend anything. Make saving a habit, just like Arcad did.
Right, makes sense. Got to take care of yourself before you can help anyone else, financially speaking.
Exactly. And the second cure, control thy expenditures, is about budgeting. But again, with all the stuff we have today, subscriptions, online shopping, it's so easy to overspend.
Oh, tell me about it. Especially those subscription services. I swear I sign up for a new one every week. It's death by 1,000 monthly payments.
It really is. And that's where Arcad's advice comes in. He's all about tracking your money, knowing where it goes, choosing what you spend on, needs versus wants. He wouldn't have liked those one-click buy buttons at all.
So, saving, budgeting, what's next on this financial well-being journey?
Make thy gold multiply. That's all about investing. Arcad didn't have index funds, but the idea is the same. Make your money work for you, let it grow. But even back then, he knew picking the right investments was crucial.
And that's where guard thy treasures from loss comes in.
You got it. There's a story about a brickmaker giving advice on jewels. It's not about the jewels themselves, but the point is clear. Get advice from the right people. People who actually know what they're talking about. Don't trust just anyone.
Makes sense, like going to a dentist for a toothache, not a plumber.
Exactly. Now, the fifth cure, make of thy dwelling a profitable investment, is interesting. Back then, owning your home was the way to go. But today, things are different.
Yeah, some would even say renting is smarter sometimes.
Right. It's about being smart with your housing choices. Rent or buy, just make sure it works for you financially. Don't just blindly follow what people say.
So it's about being a good investor, whether it's real estate or something else, thinking about the long term.
Exactly. Now, ensure a future income. This one's really interesting. Arcad was ahead of his time here because life insurance wasn't really a thing back then, but he understood protecting your family's future. He even imagined a system where small payments could add up to a big sum for loved ones if something happened.
Wow. Almost like he predicted modern life insurance.
He really did. And finally, increase thy ability to earn. This is all about self-improvement, knowledge, and skills. In today's world, that's more important than ever.
Yeah, it's like investing in yourself. The more you put in, the more you get out.
Exactly. And it's not just about technical stuff. It's about your mindset, your ability to learn and adapt as the world changes. This ties in with Klassen's idea of determination, which is all over the book.
Okay, so we've got the 7 cures, a roadmap to financial success, it seems. But what story from the book really brings all this to life?
Well, there's one about a camel trader who missed out on a huge profit because he couldn't make up his mind. It shows how dangerous procrastination can be. Just as true today as it was in Babylon.
Oh, I was reading about that recently, how procrastination can actually cost you money. It's not just about missing deadlines. I'm really curious about this camel trader. What happened to him?
So this camel trader, he was offered a flock of sheep. A really good price, too. The shepherd, he needed to get home. Wife was sick. It was nighttime, couldn't count the sheep, but the shepherd said his slave would help in the morning. But the camel trader, he hesitated. Wanted to wait till daylight to pay and finish the deal.
Oh, I could already see where this is going. Classic case of he who hesitates is lost. What happened?
Well, wouldn't you know it? The city, it comes under threat of siege overnight. Suddenly, everyone's desperate for food. Livestock prices go through the roof. By morning, 4 other buyers are clamoring to get those sheep. End up paying the shepherd 3 times what the camel trader could have.
Ouch. Talk about a missed opportunity. Seeing that profit disappear because you couldn't make up your mind. Time is money, they say. And in this case, it really was.
Absolutely. And think about it. We might not be trading sheep, but the idea is the same. Investments come and go. Gotta be ready to jump on the good ones, like starting to save early, compound interest. That's a powerful force.
Oh, compound interest. We talked about that before. That's a perfect example of an ancient idea that still works today. Make thy gold multiply, right? It's like the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is now. Can't change the past, but we can start making our money work for us today.
Exactly. Compound interest, it's like that tree grows and grows over time. And just like Arcad said, get expert advice. Today, we've got financial advisors to help us navigate the market, help those trees grow.
Now, speaking of advice, there's another part of the book I love, The Five Laws of Gold. A story within a story. So clever. Remind me how that goes again.
So Arcad's son, Nomasir, he throws this big feast. He's been gone for 10 years trying to make his fortune. See, Arcad, he gave his son a bag of gold and a clay tablet with the 5 laws on it. Said, come back in 10 years and tell me what you've learned.
Wow, like a financial boot camp. Here's some money. Here's some advice. Go prove yourself. What a challenge. So how'd Nomasir do?
Well, it's a real up and down story. He goes to Nineveh, thinks he'll be rich in no time. More enthusiasm than good sense, you know?
I think we've all been there, thinking we know more than we do about money. That get-rich-quick feeling.
Exactly. And Nomasir, he makes all the classic mistakes. Doesn't follow those 5 laws, loses everything.
So from riches to rags. Tough lesson, but sometimes those are the ones that stick with you.
Definitely a humbling experience. He ends up a slave just to survive. But that's when he rediscovers that clay tablet, those 5 laws.
Ah, the comeback story. Had to hit rock bottom to really appreciate his father's wisdom. Lose everything to gain everything, right? So how to use those laws to get back on his feet?
Starts with the first one. Gold cometh gladly to any man who saves at least 1/10 of his earnings. Even as a slave, he starts saving bit by bit. That discipline, it becomes the foundation for his turnaround.
So powerful. Even when you're starting from nothing, saving makes a difference.
It really does. And the second law, gold laboreth diligently for the wise owner who finds profitable employment. That's about choosing investments carefully. No more quick riches, slow and steady wins the race. He learns to research, avoid those risky ventures that got him in trouble.
You know, it's so important not to let emotions control your money decisions. Nomasir, he was impulsive at first, wanted easy money.
Exactly.
But after those mistakes, he became more strategic, more patient, realized that real wealth takes time.
It does. And that leads to the third law. Gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner who invests under the advice of men wise in its handling. Nomasir, he starts seeking out experts, getting advice from people who know what they're doing, no more trusting his own limited knowledge or falling for those shady deals.
The power of mentorship. Right. Learning from those who've already been there can save you a lot of trouble.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like having a guide through the financial jungle.
And then the fourth and fifth laws, they're all about being smart and avoiding those common traps.
Gold slippeth away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep. And gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who followeth the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own inexperience and romantic desires in investment.
So much wisdom packed into those laws. Be careful of those get-rich-quick schemes. Do your research. Don't invest in things you don't understand.
Exactly. Nomasir's story, it's a reminder that we can learn from our mistakes.
And those mistakes can make us stronger, wiser.
They really can. It's not just about the money, it's about personal growth.
That brings us back to something we talked about before. Determination. It's a big theme in The Richest Man in Babylon, right?
Absolutely. Clayson, he's saying knowledge isn't enough. You need persistence. You need to be willing to overcome those challenges. Believe in yourself. Believe you can build a better future.
So it's not enough to just know the rules. You have to use them. Got to put in the effort, stay focused.
Exactly. Like he says, where the determination is, the way can be found. If you really want it, you'll find a way.
I love that quote. It's about mindset, about believing you can do it.
Yeah.
And there's another one that goes along with that.
The 5 laws of gold offer to thee a rich reward for their observance. Keep applying those principles and you'll see the results.
A message of hope, of empowerment. We all have the potential to create a better life.
It's not magic, it's effort, smart choices, learning from your mistakes.
So we've got the 7 cures, the camel trader story, the 5 laws of gold, all tied together by determination. It's amazing how relevant all this still is. But before we wrap up, I'm curious, how do you think these ideas work in the 21st century?
That's a great question. The world's changed a lot since Arcad's time, especially the financial world. No internet, no online banking, no cryptocurrency back then.
No kidding. And think about all the investment choices we have now. Exciting, but kind of overwhelming too.
It is. That's why getting good advice is even more important. Like Arcad said, find those experts.
Remember that eighth cure we came up with? Develop your BS detector.
Exactly. Got to be able to see through the scams, find the good information.
And there's so much information out there, so many ads,
It's everywhere.
tempting us to spend, spend, spend. Takes real discipline to resist that and stick to saving and budgeting.
It does, and that's what's so great about The Richest Man in Babylon. It's like an antidote to all that instant gratification, all that overspending.
It's about building a strong foundation, not chasing those fleeting desires.
Exactly, and that brings up something else that's even more important today. You have to keep learning, keep adapting. The financial world is constantly changing new stuff all the time.
Like that vintage map we talked about. We've got to be ready to adjust the route, find new tools.
Exactly, and just like Arcad got advice from those experts, we can use the resources we have today, books, courses, advisors, to learn more about money, make better decisions.
So those principles from The Richest Man in Babylon, they're timeless. But we got to be creative in how we apply them. Got to stay informed, keep learning.
Absolutely. But in the end, it always comes back to determination, that drive to learn, to grow, to face those challenges head on.
Believing in yourself, creating a better future. That's something that connects us to ancient Babylon. It's a human story, a story of hope and resilience.
Well said. You know, it's amazing to think about those principles from Babylon and how they work today.
Yeah, like make thy gold multiply. I bet back then investing was all about lending money or buying land.
Oh, for sure. Or maybe financing a caravan or two.
Right. But now we've got so many choices. Stocks, bonds, real estate, even cryptocurrency.
So many options.
It's almost too much. How do we even use Arcad's advice with all this?
Well, the main idea is still the same. Look for those opportunities that make money, but don't jump in without thinking. Just like Arcad wouldn't rush into a bad deal, we shouldn't either. Research, talk to the experts, know what risks you're taking.
So it's not just what you invest in, it's how you do it.
Exactly. And that's why guarding thy treasures from loss is even more important now. With all the scams out there, those promises of getting rich quick, it's easy to fall for that stuff.
Like we said before, gotta have that BS detector working overtime.
Exactly. Got to be able to spot the real deals from the fakes. And that ties into something else that's different today. The sheer amount of information we get, all those ads
Oh yeah, it's everywhere.
telling us to buy this, upgrade that, treat yourself.
Takes serious willpower to ignore that and stick to your budget.
It really does, and that's what's so powerful about The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a reminder to slow down, to focus on what really matters, not all that stuff they try to sell you.
Yeah, building a real foundation, not chasing the latest shiny thing.
Exactly. And that brings us to something that's even more relevant today, the need to keep learning, keep adapting. The financial world never stands still. There's always something new.
It's like that old map we talked about. You might have to change your route along the way, find new tools.
I like that. And just like Arcad, we can learn from those who've already figured things out. There are books, courses, financial advisors out there, all kinds of resources.
So those principles from Babylon, they're timeless, but we got to keep up with the times too.
Absolutely. We have to be flexible, ready to adjust as things change.
But those core ideas, saving, investing wisely, controlling spending, getting advice, thinking long-term, those are still the keys to success.
You really are. And at the heart of it all, there's that determination, that drive to push forward, to learn and grow, to overcome those obstacles.
It's believing in yourself, knowing you can create a better future. And that's a connection we have not just with ancient Babylon, but with people throughout history.
A story that's still being written today.
Well, I think we've unearthed some real treasures from The Richest Man in Babylon. Hopefully our listeners are feeling inspired to use those principles in their own lives.
I hope so too. It's been a great journey exploring this ancient wisdom and how it applies to us today.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep striving for those richer, more fulfilling lives.